Good morning. It is Wednesday. It is Wednesday morning. I hope everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day. Yes, I did not put out a video on Monday because it was Memorial Day, and I thank all the vets for their service, and I pray that everyone had a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day. I did. I slept in. So today, because I haven't seen you, and I've only been doing one video for the past 2 weeks. I've only done one video. I want to get right into it. Something that was really that the Lord put on my heart on Memorial's Day, actually, when I woke up finally, was people that have this passion and they know the Lord called them to something, but they believe they are too old. They believe they are too old to get started. They believe that they can't do anything because they made too many mistakes. I've so far along in life, I've made these mistakes, or I'm just too old. I wasted too much time. Can't get it done. No, that is not. That is not biblical. That is not how the Lord works. Your purpose, your purpose, when it's too late for you to do a purpose, when you die. And then he still might have something for you to do in heaven. I don't know. I ain't been. I plan to go. But the fact is that you are never too old to begin walking out what the Lord called you to walk out. You have never made too many mistakes. You have never done too much. He came to forgive us. Jesus came to forgive us. God is a loving God. He knew what he was going to get when he got you, and he knew how long it was going to take you to get started. So the excuse of I am too old, I can't go back to school. Did anybody tell you had to go back to school? Unless he did. I mean, he told me I had to go back to school, and I was not happy about it. But I digress. If he tells you to go back to school, go back to school. I don't care how old you are. My grandmother, bless her heart, she didn't even get her high school degree till she was in her 70s. Her high school diploma. But she did it. She did it. God called you to do something, walk out your purpose. You still have time. As long every day that you draw breath, every day that your feet. I was at the doctor's office the other day, and I sat at the counter, and one of the doctors came out, and he asked this older guy, he said, "How you doing?" He said, "As long as my feet hit the floor, I'm doing all right." He said, "I woke up this morning and my feet hit the floor. I'm doing all right. And I could do some stuff." So he was fussing at the girl at the desk because she gave him a late appointment. And he wanted to get up earlier because he got to get his day started. Now, this man had to be well into his 80s, if not 90s. I don't know. But he looked like he was well into his 80s. And he was like, "I got to get my day started. I don't have time to be sitting around waiting on y'all to open up the office. I need somebody that's going, I need a doctor that's going to be here at 9 o'clock. And if he's here at 9 o'clock, I need my appointments at 9 o'clock because I get up at whatever time." And he was anxious to get his day started and do something with his day. And I swear this man looked like he was well into his 90s. If God called you to do something, you are not too old to get started. I'm gonna give you some examples. I'm gonna give you some really good examples. Guess what? The pillars of our faith, the ones that God really that undergirds us with, and we use as strong examples. Guess what? These were not young people. These were not young men when they got started. If we look at Abraham, I'm not going to go through reading all these scriptures because there are so many that if I tried to read them all, this video would be super duper long. But I'm a believer in study to show thyself approved. Do not wait on me to give it off, to force feed you, and to no, that's not what the Bible says. You're supposed to study to show yourself approved. So I'm going to give you these scriptures. You can go back and look at it and read it for yourself and get the account and see exactly how these things worked out. If we look in Genesis chapter 12, verse 4, it talks about how Abraham wasn't even, he didn't even leave. He didn't get called to do nothing until he was 75. 75. So he didn't even have no kids. No, we knew he didn't have no kids. He was a really old man. But God didn't even call him and give him instructions until he was 75. 75 for us is well past retirement. We're talking about we don't want to do nothing no more, for real. Retirement ain't for us, but I digress. I'll talk about that on a different day. But 75, he didn't get his call till 75, call to his purpose till he's 75. What was he doing for the other 75 years? What was he doing for 75 years? He was doing something. But God called him into his purpose at 75 and then turned around and made him wait for a number of other years. Because if you go to chapter 17, starting at verse 1, it starts out talking about how God renewed his covenant with Abraham, and Abraham was 90 years old. That's like in the first couple of verses. That's in the first couple of lines of Genesis chapter 17. He was 90 years old when he renewed the covenant. Now think about this. Abraham had done all manners of foolishness by then. He had gone off with Hagar, having a baby, trying to create the covenant on his own because he was listening to his wife who wasn't paying attention to what God had to say. He had done all manners of foolishness. God didn't cancel out the covenant that he had with him. God didn't cancel out what he told him he had for him, because he had already lied to the king and had almost killed the whole nation, and the king had everybody in the kingdom sick. He had already had Lot with him and prayed that Lot got. He had done so much stuff that was out of order by the time by the time he was 90, and God still renewed that covenant. So first of all, he was old. Second of all, he was out of order. So you can't tell me that you was out that your life has taken this turn and you done all manners of foolishness, and now you can't walk out your purpose, because that's not godly. Remember, I said there's two things: you aren't too old, and you haven't done too much for the Lord to use you. Okay, so let's look at, I'm sorry, I'm doing this late. My family is getting ready for the day. I'm not about to stop them, so you'll hear like little things in the background, but they're being respectful. Side note. Anyway, so now that was Abraham. Now let's move over to Moses. Moses and Aaron was old. They wasn't no spring chickens when the Lord called them. If you go to Exodus chapter 7, if it starts at verse 7, but if you go to Exodus chapter 7, it tells you flat out, Moses was 88 and Aaron was 83 when the Lord told them to go get them kids, to get the children out of Israel. 88. He wasn't big and strong, this big strong guy. He was 88. He wasn't going, like, I'm going to force somebody, I'm going to take it by. He wasn't that way. God used him at 88. First of all, this is just my thinking. This is a Carlism, so just knows. But if he would have sent Moses, when Moses was this big strong guy and he had all this force and he was virile and he thought he was the man, then God, he would have been able to say, look what I did. He would have thought that he may have thought that it was, something that he did because he was intimidating. But at 88, you intimidating. You ain't intimidating too many people. It was all done in the power of the Lord, but God he didn't call him to do it till 88. That's what I need you to see. He didn't even give him the instruction for his purpose until he was 88 years old, and his assistant was 83. They was both old. Okay, so to tell me that you're too old to get started, that don't work. That don't work. That doesn't work. Now I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit. Okay, what if your purpose is to get started on somebody else's purpose? It's to lay the groundwork at the age that you are when you're older. I don't want to call you old, but if you're older, if you're up in years, what if God has called you in your senior years to lay the groundwork for somebody else's purpose? Think about this. If we look at David was a mighty man of valor, and he had warred, and he had been king, and he had done this, and he had done that. But one thing he really wanted to do is he wanted to build the temple of the Lord for God. He wanted to do that because it would be such a great honor. But God told him no. If you go to, I'm going to tell you this. If you start in First Chronicles chapter 28, you'll see that. I think it's 28 and 29. You want to read both of them. But God told David, no, you can't. The very thing that David wanted to do for the Lord, because he loved the Lord so much, and David was a man after God's own heart. God told him no, because you had too much blood on your hands. He had shed too much blood. He had been this mighty warrior, so he couldn't do it. But he told him, I chose your son Solomon. He gave David the plans for the temple. He gave David all the plans for the temple. He didn't give those plans to Solomon. He gave them to David to relay to Solomon. And then David went about gathering, because he knew he wasn't able to do it. God told him he couldn't do it. He went about gathering the materials so that Solomon didn't even have to gather the materials for the temple to be built. He was, if you read through it, it talks about how he gathered this gold and the fine woods and all these various things for the temple to be laid. He laid the foundation for Solomon to move forward and walk out a portion of his purpose. So, and David wasn't a young man when he did this. David was up in years when he did this, when he laid this foundation for somebody else's purpose. So just because you are up in years does not mean you don't have purpose. You don't have something that God expects you to do. Don't say that I can't do this, or I'm too old to get started. No, somebody else's purpose could very well be depending upon you to do this, to lay the foundation. Your purpose could be be as a foundation there. And we know that if the foundation is of a thing is not solid, the whole thing crumbles. So you could be the person that's holding up somebody else and what they have been called to do. I really, this really struck me on Monday, because I'm not sure why I did. I just, just thought about, I'm like, there's a lot of people out here. I've been talking about purpose, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm only talking to these young people, because I ain't this bad. I'm not. I'm talking to you too. I'm not just talking to young people. I'm not talking to teenagers or millennials or 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings. I'm talking to everybody. 88 and 90 includes everybody. Yeah, all y'all. Okay? So God included all of us. And he didn't want anyone to believe that he didn't have something for us to do, and not just a small purpose, but a significant thing to do. Because these things are very significant that these people did. So it's not some little thing. Oh, it's a little thing in the body of Christ. No. He has something very significant for you to do, no matter what your age. I'm going to let you go because I've gone over time. I will talk to you soon on Monday. Bye-bye.